Hey guys! Wow! I'd like to say how we got here, but I kind of know how we got here. Right? This is kind of cool. This is great. A little scary, but we'll see. All right, we got a lot of ground to cover this afternoon, and then the least of all is not my incredibly boring and repetitious speech. And for those of you I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, I'm the head of writing for film and television here at the Vancouver Film School. When I first met you all, that first day of your first term a year ago, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, sure, you looked and even seemed, with a few notable exceptions, like a bright, intelligent group. But attempting to teach writing is a tricky proposition, and while I felt confident that we could instruct you in the craft of writing, expose you to the basic tenets of screenwriting, story, structure, character, dialogue, the big unknown was what we couldn't teach. That elusive, intangible thing that you each had to bring to the program on your own, creativity. Now here we are, 12 months later, and I just want to say that I'm blown away by the level and quality of the writing that has come out of this class. I've seen it firsthand with those of you who have shared your scripts with me, as well as with other work that has been brought to my attention through instructors. There is a consistent level of talent and potential that you have exhibited these last 12 months that make me feel, dare I say, hopeful. That's the good news. The bad news is now the hard work begins. As I look out, and this is where I say, I'm looking out now, I'm looking out, at your youthful faces, I'm reminded of when I was your age and just starting my career as a screenwriter. I can't believe how lucky I've been. For 35 years, I had the pleasure and honor of going to work every day with some of the most creative and interesting people imaginable. For 35 years, there wasn't a morning I woke up that I wasn't excited to get to work. The simple truth that even though I was highly and sometimes obscenely compensated, I would have done it for a dime. And I wish the same for you. Writing is more than a job, it's a calling. It has to be, because it's not easy to do. As writers, you know that. Someone once said to me, and it's one of the great truisms, even the worst script ever written was hard to write. I know that because I wrote some of those scripts. I have little doubt that each and every one of you has the talent to succeed, but I'm sorry to tell you that's not enough. You need to commit. You can't do it halfway. You have to recognize an opportunity when it presents itself, and when it does, you have to be ready to pounce to take advantage of it. Success in this business takes luck. It takes talent. You need to want it. I'm going to say that again. You need to want it. And above all, you need to believe in yourself. When I first went to Los Angeles to become a screenwriter, it never occurred to me that I wasn't going to make it. It wasn't an option. Before I go any further, I think this would be as good a time as any to applaud not only our graduates, but also to applaud those parents or significant others or anyone else who has encouraged and supported you on this somewhat frightening path that has led you to this point today. When I first got here 8 years ago, I was told by Dion and Roger that over the course of the year, each intake or class develops their own identifying, unique, collective personality. Some previous classes, you should have seen some of the other classes. Some previous classes have been characterized as whiny, others have been labeled as eclectic, adventurous, serious, self-serious. After my 12 months with you guys, I would have to label you as amusing, no, determined. Now, some of you might be disappointed that I haven't tagged you as the profound class or the sexy class, but trust me, for a screenwriter, determination, along with its close cousin, enthusiasm, is a much better attribute than great legs. Ralph Waldo Emerson, a pretty fair writer himself, said, "Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm." I personally know this to be true. There were many times I sold a project to a network or studio, not because they necessarily believed in it, but rather they believed that I believed in it. It would be wise to remember that you're not only writers, but you're also salesmen and saleswomen. Be honest, be fearless, be kind of heart, be creative. Never be cavalier when it comes to success. Savor and appreciate every victory you have as a writer. I know you've heard this before, but always treat others the way you want to be treated. You'll be amazed how often being a jerk to someone who you regard as inconsequential comes back and bites you in the ass. Never take your gifts as an artist for granted. Conversely, don't take yourself too seriously. Remember to laugh. And while you're at it, try to fall in love with someone with a good sense of humor. Trust me, it will pay off when it's not going so great in the biz. Don't sabotage yourself. I can't begin to tell you how many profoundly gifted people I've known that squandered a bright future with bad choices and behavior. And read. You're writers. Always keep reading. Believe in what you write. Don't ever, and I mean ever, allow yourself to be dissuaded or steered away from your dreams by those who tell you it's impossible. And please, never forget the two most important words a writer has in his arsenal. What if? We live and die by the strength of our imagination, so please don't ever forget. It all starts with the simple two words, what if? You came here last August with the idea of becoming writers. You leave now a year later having written features, outlines, Bibles, spec episodes, beat sheets, pilots, comedy sketches, web episodes, short films. You've created characters, told stories, and given voice to your imagination. By any definition, you are writers. I was reviewing this speech a couple of hours ago, and I was reflecting that you, the 50s, are the 27th class I've had the pleasure and honor of being associated with. In a rare moment for me of introspection, I've been trying to identify my own personal emotions as I send yet another group of frightened graduates out into the real world. I kind of stared at my keyboard and I realized I'm jealous. Really, no kidding. I'm jealous, and it's obviously why. You're young, you're smart, you're talented. You have it all in front of you. This is your time. Not my time, this is your time. On your first day here, when I first introduced you to myself, I revealed to you my ridiculous inability to recognize faces and assign names to said faces. In a moment of bold but fatal optimism, I made the rash and somewhat delusional promise that I would, by this time, this day rolled around, be able to assign a name to all your faces. I have good news and bad news. The good news is I have assigned a name to all your faces. The bad news, it's Larry. Look, I want to take the time now to apologize for this idiotic shortcoming. Yes, much to the amusement of my staff, I may stumble with names and faces, but be assured, I know you. I really do. I don't say this lightly. I know you. I know you because we're writers. We share the same aspirations, hopes, dreams, and goals. You are me. I am you. I'm a writer, you're a writer, we are writers, so while it's true I suck at this name thing, trust me, I know you, and I'm here to tell you that your dreams are within your grasp. I believe in you. All the people in this room believe in you. Now get out there and get it done, okay? I congratulate you.
What we have been doing all year in our workshops are cold reads, where we well, they're not quite cold reads. We read them through beforehand, and then when we arrive in the workshop, we read them out. Roles are assigned, somebody reads action description, and that's kind of how we go from there. So here's a little flavour of that for those who are maybe not so familiar, and that's how we're going to do our speech.
Interior, main theater shortly after 1 p.m. The theater is packed with family, friends, and colleagues. They sit, waiting eagerly for two speakers to address the room. The speakers are Mallory, 22, mid-height, brunette, and Dane, 28, kind of looks like Harry Potter.
First of all, a huge thank you for coming to celebrate with us today.
We just finished a full year in the writing program at VFS.
A year of blood, sweat, and tears, which resulted in work we are proud of and hope for the future.
Just then, a green dragon burst through the ceiling.
Mallory, what was that?
You said we were writing our speech like a script. I had fun with the action description.
But see, the The action description must describe actual action.
And?
There is no dragon.
Oh.
Because we are writers, we came up with a way to properly explain.
A second dragon claws its way through the hole left by the first, and it grasps the green dragon in its fiery maw.
Valerie,
What?
do you want a dragon to fly in here and eat the audience, set the audience on fire?
No.
The action description must match exactly what we do.
Dane glares at Mallory, stick firmly up his butt.
As I was saying, because we are writers, we came up with a way to properly explain our year to you.
Through simile.
Our year at VFS was like a green bean, a little fuzzy in places, but good for us nonetheless.
Our year at VFS was like Grandpa in a swimsuit, memorable for all the wrong reasons. By the way, my grandfather is in the audience.
Our year at VFS was like a horse, never to be spoken of again.
Our year was like getting half of the wheels stolen from our vehicle. It left us too tired.
It was like being a narcissistic cannibal. We know that one day we're going to make something of ourselves.
It was like canned gravy. Actually not as bad as it sounds.
Writing is as natural as eating, sleeping.
Avoiding deadlines.
And when I picture the future outside of VFS, I think, finally, no structure, no grades, no one to hold our hand along our journey into the real world. Mallory, what do you think?
A bad word.
Now that we're graduated, most of us for the first time in 12 months have a chance to stop and think. This is a time when a lot of us will be asking ourselves, what is important? Only we can answer that question.
Writing is a special profession because a lot of us are in this career to help other people answer that question, and it's really scary when we can't do that for ourselves. I think right now it's really important that we take chances.
Apply for that job.
Send that letter.
Steal that car.
Actually, jail is secured food and housing, so auto theft is less of a risk than a writing career.
Bit of a downer, no?
No, I was just writing my portion of the speech in McDonald's at 2 a.m. By the way, they're hiring.
Which reminds me of a Phil Dunphy quote.
I'll ask so the audience doesn't have to. Who is Phil Dunphy, Dane?
He's the realtor dad in Modern Family, married to Claire.
So what's the quote?
The most amazing things that can happen to a human being will happen to you if you just lower your expectations.
Bit of a downer, no?
You're right, we need a proper ending. Okay, how about this? Abed Nadir from the TV show Community. Abed often uses dice to randomly select a timeline. We could have 6 possible endings to this speech, depending on which number we roll. If only we had a die.
Maybe check your pockets?
My precious. Will you do the honors?
It's a 2!
Okay. Okay. On Community, Abed Nadir often repeats the mantra, 6 seasons and a movie. We may not have had 6 seasons because we're not a TV show, but we have had 6 terms. Now we've just got to go out and get that movie. It's our time now, guys.
Mallory and Dane are overcome with emotion.
Thank you all for coming.